I'm not blasting his head. I want to mist it. I'm spraying it past his head, and then I'm combing it. It's one way you can add water to the hair. The other way is spray the comb and comb it through the hair. Okay? Notice what I'm doing with the direction I'm spraying the water in the hair. What am I doing? Spraying it where? Opposite direction. Because I don't want the water to drip and fall in his face and get in his eyes. So I'm going away from his face first. It doesn't mean that it won't drip, but what I am doing is eliminating it from happening. I'm minimizing the opportunity for that to happen. His hair is now saturated, and his forehead does not have any water dripping down it. Okay? So, now that we have that in place, what I'm looking for, if he decides to wear his head back, I'm looking for any weight. And I see a little bit of weight right here. Okay? As I continue to go around his head, the back looks good. This umbrella quadrant looks good.
What do you mean by weight?
Weight. The amount of hair that's heavier is too short. It looks too heavy right there. So the amount of weight that you have right here, you see that weight right there? It's heavy. Where right here is blended. Right here is blended. This is blended. See that weight right there? Now, I wouldn't necessarily cut that because we know that he's combing this hair that way. So if he's combing it that way, I actually need the weight. Do I have the weight there now? I don't. So it's important how this person's going to be wearing their hair, because if I comb it in the direction I want to cut it, it may not be the way that he's going to wear it, which is going to create weight when he combs it the way he wants to comb it. So it's always important to know how that person wears their hair. So we are going to be wearing it to this side. So that looks pretty blended the whole ways around. But when I get over here, there's a soft weight line right there. Do you guys see that? Okay. The camera's a little bright, so I'm going to turn them towards you this way so you can actually see it a little bit more. Do you see the weight? Okay, see a little bit more of that weight? All right. So what I'm going to do is, let me use some of this too. I'm going to take my shears, just using my thumbs to cut. I'm not using my fingers, just using my thumbs. I'm going to lift this up, and I'm only going to dust off on the ends. And look at where I'm going with the comb and the shears. Straight up. Even though there's no hair there, I'm going straight up. Yeah, it's not. I'm going from the parietal ridge straight out because that is the shape of the cut. So take a look. Parietal ridge, straight out. Anything sticking outside of that parietal ridge is what's getting cut right there. See that? I'm not going in because that's a lot. I'm going straight up from the parietal ridge because that's the shape of the cut and cutting anything that's sticking out. Straight up. Straight up. That weight is now gone. Still have a little bit right here though. Same thing. Just dusting it off, just using my thumbs. Keeping this bottom blade as still as possible. The only one moving is the top one. A little bit of weight here. What I'm doing is moving the water around so it doesn't appear dark for me because it's wet. There is weight right there. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead in. Can y'all see that? Go on. All right. I do want to pull some of this to the side to take a look at it. And I'm going to get just a little bit of this weight right here. But because I'm not cutting all of this, I'm going to lift this hair up. And right there where that length is, see where that extra length is? I'm going to go in and I'm just going to point cut. Now the weight is gone. Okay? Now that I know that my sides are good, I'm going to focus on the top. He needs more length in the front, so let me face him this way so you can see exactly what's happening. Do you see how this angles down? And then you see, if I comb this all to the side, it angles down this way as well. Do you see that? That's the shape of this cut because he over-directs his hair in the front that way. So I need to maintain that weight. But once I lift this over here, I got a little bit of weight that I want to remove right in there. I'm going to show you how to get that. But this is generally how his hair is going to look. I'm going to make it look a little bit better than that. Before I get to that, I'm going to trim some of this top. Because I don't want to cut a lot of weight off, I'm going to add a lot of texture to his haircut. So shape and the exterior of the cut is what we're looking for first. Because he had it cut last week and he already had the length that he wanted off, I'm going to do more interior cutting than I'm going to do exterior cutting. So I'm going to grab right at his apex, and I'm going to go right in, and I'm going to put big cuts into that. So because I put big cuts into that, I'm going to get a lot of texture. But notice the length of his hair is the same. I'm going to go to my next section. I don't need that back section. And I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going deep into it. When I go into cut, I'm pulling away as I'm cutting. I'm not going in and cutting. What happens if I go in and cut? Say that again?
You run the risk of cutting too much.
No, I want to cut into it.
You're going to create a lot shorter length.
I don't want to cut myself. So I'm sitting this blade on my finger, and I can cut right there. Sit it on my finger, and I can cut right there. Sit it on my finger, and I can cut right there if I want to stabilize it. If I don't want to stabilize it and I go in, I have to make sure that as I'm cutting, I want to cut out. So I touch my finger, and as I'm cutting, I'm pulling away. That's so I don't cut myself, one, on camera, and two, in front of my client. So notice I'm only going down the mohawk. This is going to be a squared haircut. It's only being over-directed over here. I'm staying away from the front because we want maximum lift in the front. So because I trim and got some texture there, I'm now going to, my haircut is here, right? And my haircut is here. So these two areas intersect. If I want weight, I'm going to have a hard point here. If I want to remove the weight, I'm going to tie my guide. You'll see it. From this guide to that guide, do you see that tiny little peak there? All I'm doing is cutting that off. That's going to soften it up. It's going to remove the weight line that we had on the side. Remember I said there was some weight there? That's how you remove the weight. I'm going to my next section. Guide and guide. Cut the peak off. Next section. Guide at the bottom, guide at the top. Let me show you. Do you see it? And all I'm doing is follow my guide and cutting that off. You see I have a straighter cut? That's going to remove the weight. I don't need to come back here because what's happening to the back of the head, right in this area? Well, it's starting to round. If I cut too much off, then this hair is going to start sticking up. I don't want it to stick up. But this is the area where we had a lot of weight. I'm going to over-direct this hair to the side. And as you can see, I have a peak. I have my guide at the bottom. I have a guide at the top. So let me put the comb behind it so you can see it better. You see that? I'm going to cut that little bit off right there. I'm not changing his length. I'm just following this guide. Once I do this, this should remove that weight that we had on the side there. There's another one right there. Follow up. That's good. That's my guide earlier. There's right there. Work my way up. All I'm doing is maintaining this shape. I'm going to stay in this area right off of the mohawk, coming straight back in an angle. Because it's over-directed, I need to maintain the length on this side. Trim. Come back. Now you see what's happening right here? What's happening right there? It's a gap. Why is it a gap? It is uneven because I did my texture on the inside. So I'm okay with that because the length is good. See when I went up, the length is good? the matching length, but there's an incision in the middle of that. So I'm cool with that. Now, one other thing I want, because he wears his hair going back, look what's happening to his hair when I lift this up. What is happening? It falls back down. We're going to fix that problem without product. Is that something that you hate happen? When you try to comb it, it doesn't do what you want it to do? All right, cool. Yeah, so I'm going to stand over here. I'm going to stay away from about a finger to 2 fingers from his hairline. So here's where we are. I want to stay away from the front. I'm going to drop this down. But from here back, I'm going to focus on so I can get this to lift. I'm going to lift this hair up, and right inside, I'm going to grab about a 1/4 inch away from his scalp, and I'm going to just slide this up and slice some of that. It's a slithering technique, yep. And I'm using this technique because I don't have a texturizing shear in my hand. What that would look like with my texturizing shear is the same thing. I'm going to lift this up, and I'm going to go straight in. Straight in, straight in. Look how much hair I just cut off. But look at his hair right now. Is his hair sticking up? Do we have any product in his hair? What was happening earlier when I was lifting his hair up? It was falling down. What I just did was some interior cutting because he told me I like to wear my hair up and over to the side. And because I just did some interior cutting, this hair now wants to sit on those shorter hairs. I probably need a little bit more over here because you saw it started to fall again. Lift this up. Now look at his hair. Is his hair standing up? The longer hairs are sitting on the shorter hairs. Okay? Is his hair standing up without product? Okay. The foundation of a good hairstyle is a good haircut. Okay? So if I don't cut his hair properly, that means I'm going to be using a lot of product to achieve the look. I don't need a lot of product if the haircut is cut well. I'm going to use a dime size of product. It's not a lot. It's very, very little, real thin. I'm going to emulsify it. It looks like I don't have anything in there now. Again, I'm just going to shoe shine it. I'm just dusting the ends of his hair first. Dust the ends of his hair first. And I'm using a product that has more of a natural look to it. I'm using my fingertips now at the scalp, and I'm letting the top of those hairs kind of fall on my palm. See his hair standing up? Now I'm going to put this hair in the direction that we want it to go. So, for the look that he would normally want to achieve, he's wearing it to the side. He has sort of a soft section over here. He has a natural one that kind of falls, so I want to follow what's already naturally there. Take the rest of that, comb that over. Let's take a look at how that looks from here. So what I'm looking at is where his natural whirl is. And you see this, I'm following his hair stream. You see where that naturally falls? So from here, this goes that way. This section right here comes the whole ways down. If I hold this down and move this over, I have a much better, more natural looking part. Do you see that? So that's how I'm combing it. I'm following his hair stream. Once I follow his hair stream in the direction that his hair is growing, I'm going to have little to any flyaways. That's flat. We don't have no alfalfa going on. I'm just following what his hair is already doing. If I go contrary to that, then I'm going to have hair sticking up, which is why when he goes to comb this in the front, I'm going to get the lift that he wants. Take my hands across, and then I have that, oops, my bad, that look that he's looking for. So I want you, without looking in, or you can probably look into there, I want you to just comb your hair how you normally would. Just comb it like you normally would. Mm-hmm.
this way. But then I did the same thing again. I only do it with my hands. So it's just sitting like that.
That's how you do it? Okay. So if you want the right lift, I would say first move it forward and now do what you want with your hands. Do you like the back messy with a little bit of volume?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So you don't want it as slick. Gotcha. So that's what you do. How's it look? Let's take a look at it in
I guess so.
Good? Okay. So now look at how much volume you have in the front. You got a lot of volume there. You normally is really resistant with your hands with minimal product. You have to use a lot more product to do that. How did your hair feel when you started going through it with your fingers?
It was like, it was kind of wet, but it wasn't like too, I was able to move my hair freely.
Freely, so your hair was doing what you wanted it to do. That had everything to do with the interior cutting I was doing. If I didn't do that, then his hair would be a little more resistant and he would have been fighting a little bit more. All right? So I'm not going to do the rest of your beard. I'm going to let that go, but I'm going to mess your hair up. So if he wants to wear his hair down, I'm going to dry some of this first. I'm going to use my fingers, but I want his hair to go forward. So the airflow is going forward while I'm agitating his hair with my fingers. Okay? You see all the texture in his hair? Notice I keep the blow dryer moving, because if not and I sit it there, it gets real hot and he starts, exactly. Okay? So don't do that. Keep it moving. And if you're moving it around where your fingers are, you'll feel the heat before he does. Okay? It's good, right? So now look at this. Look at how I can get his hair to stick straight up now. If I wanted to stick straight up. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because of the texture that's on the inside, but he's not going to wear it like that. He was wearing it down. So look at the volume I just created in the back. By just using my fingers, a little bit of heat, and that minimal product that we had put in. If I want it to be a little thicker feeling, this is a texture powder. It's basically like sea salt. I use my fingers to manipulate it through. What this is going to do is give me a more woolly, more thicker appearance. It's fantastic for people whose hair is very fine and they want to fill it out. If you're using a pomade or a cream or something heavier, the hair tends to stick together. And when the hair tends to stick together, if their hair is fine and they don't have a lot of density, you can see the scalp, and then it looks they look balder. And that's not what people want. They want their hair to look a little fuller. That's what this product will do. So now he can wear his messy head, but it has more shape and definition with what he's got going on. So he's got an entirely different look. Another look. Another look similar to how he was wearing it. I think that's probably the best one on him right there. And if I want to hold that, put a little bit of hairspray, not a lot. Look how far away I am from it. Just to get that to hold. I can also shoot a little bit of air. Look how far away I am with it. Not right up on it because I don't want to change the look. If I put that pressure all the way up against it, it's going to move the hair. So I'm far away from it, lift that up. Now you have your styling. I can go ahead, unclip. Um, yeah, right. One of the things I didn't show you was this hair tonic because I wasn't doing a lot of shear cutting on it. Show you guys that another time. We're good to go. Hair from behind his ears. But look at how much volume, lift, and shape with the look that he was going for in the first place. It looks much better now because he has more texture on the top and his hair actually looks fuller. Would you agree? His hair looks fuller. E, did you get the smell good? All right. That's fine. So we'll just put some on afterwards. All right. Let me go to this next cut. It should take me. Who got a request? Oh, he did? All right. So he got a request. I'm not going to cut him. But what I'll do is I'll show you the same cut. And we'll do it in really, really short amount of time because when someone comes every week, you don't have to reset the haircut. If you know the length and you know how to cut it, we'll do that next time. So could you can end with it. Anybody have any questions about what I did so far? How about you? You were sitting there getting a hair. Yeah, go ahead, have a seat. I could do the beard now, yeah, because you're not doing another cut. Look at it, boy. You know how to maximize the moment, don't you? He maximized the moment. Maximize the moment. Yes, question.
So when you were explaining the different outcomes of when we're cutting with the shears and cutting with the you said so the effect that a straight razor gives is a beveled end?
Beveled edge. Okay. I'll show you exactly what I mean. I'll pull it up for you and then I'll put it on the screen. So, yes.
You don't have to use the razor to finish your haircut, right?
You do not. What do you mean?
Like, you know how
Around the neck shave?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is traditional. That's a tradition.
A lot of barbershops do it, right? I feel like it's not necessary.
It's not that it's unnecessary. It does a few things. One, it's visual. It's visual for someone who's watching what you're doing. It's an upsell on a service. It's also a way to provide a better type of, let me see if I can put this on. Yep, I can. TV. Okay, so where's the remote? Oh. So here's what I was talking about. No. It's like, yeah, you can. So here's what I was talking about. When you're cutting hair with the shear, it's going to cut it like this directly across. This is a close-up view or a microscopic view of the hair shaft. So you see how it has all the prickly ends? This is the cuticle layer. This is the cortex, and that little spot in the middle is the medulla. This is what happens when you use the electric shaver. So this is split ends. This is trichoptilosis. So this hair is not going to pierce through the skin as easy as this is. So did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good. You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
You cut on an angle.
When you say I cut on an angle, what do you mean? With the shears, with the clippers? I was adding texture on the inside of the haircut. So the reason that I have all this lift and I have all these little tiny pieces that you see which are creating dimensions and creating depth in his hair is because there's little hairs that are pushing the long hairs up. I still have the length of his hair on the top. Now I wouldn't do this interior cutting on every single time that I'm cutting his hair. I only did it this time because he already had the shape of his cut on the top. I didn't do that on Ando last week because he doesn't need that. But the way he's wearing his hair, I knew based on the look he's going for that we're going to get the optimal look right here with the amount of weight, the amount of dimension to the hair. So, I mean, did you take a look at yourself there? I know you can see it over there, but can you actually see it? You know? And this little piece, I just picked this up right now, but it's nothing. No, well, it's going to have texture on the inside. The shape of the cut is still there. The shape of the cut's there. Yeah, there's going to be short pieces, going to be little pieces. So the next time I cut him, if he was coming next week, I probably won't trim much off the top at all. I'd do his fade, blend it into the top, and he's gone. If he's an every week guy, the third week that he comes in, I'm going to blend it, and I'm just going to trim some of the edges to blend it into the top. We're going to maintain his length. By that third or fourth week, it's starting to get too long. Then I can go in, create a little bit of length, add some more texture, and now I don't have to do anything, which is going to speed up my process every week that he comes in, and he's going to feel like I'm giving him optimal service. The other thing that's going to happen is when he goes to mess with, I guarantee you, he's going to mess with his hair in the next couple of days, and he's going to have a holy crap moment. He's like, man, this is doing everything I wanted to do because I just made the hair do what he actually really wants. If he wanted it slick, we could still make it slick and he can have a greaser look. If he wanted to wear it down, he can, but this is the look that he was going for. It looks like he has more hair than what he started with because of the texture, but it doesn't look greasy, it doesn't look shiny. It has a natural looking flow to it. So let's go ahead and do his beard. You can go ahead and lay back. Yes, ma'am.
If he does his like 1 week thing normally, and then all of a sudden like there's something hypothetically goes on, how long?
Chris, could you hit the tiny little 2 up top? It's a little tiny little square 2. Hit the 2, and then roll the focus, please. I'm sorry, hit the 3 and roll the focus. My apologies. The little 3 up top. And then the focus is the little, there we go. Much better. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and hit the 2 and make sure the 2's focused because we just moved that. All right, cool.
So hypothetically,
I need you to slide back.
how long
Okay.
can
Sit natural. There you go. Just natural. Lay back. Good. No. So here's how he gets comfortable. He's long. Go ahead, lay. Yeah. Now lay back. Feel better? Okay, good.
So how long can he hypothetically go out maintaining this natural look of that volume and of that?
It's going to be like that until it grows out. The longer it gets, then it's not going to be as manageable and movable. All right, so I got this angle so you guys can kind of see what I'm working on. So I need you to turn to your left. Can you guys see where I'm at? I'm following his natural line that he has. I'm using my finger and I'm positioning it on his neck. So this is how I'm holding it. Pretend this is his neck. I'm sitting it here before I go in. I'm using this as a pivot. Okay? Y'all see that? So I'm going to place my finger here. I'm looking down the line of this, and I'm going to make sure it's parallel with that. Once I see where I want to go, I just drop it down into that spot. I'm touching and going. I'm not even adding a lot of pressure at all. The clipper's doing all the work. I don't have to put a lot of pressure. More pressure doesn't make it sharper. Okay, then underneath, I'm gonna remove this hair. Turn, step back. I'm looking from here to make sure that this is even on both sides. I'm using my finger again, using that as a pivot, drop my angle, face me. Same thing, pivot, drop, pivot, drop. Remove these hairs. I don't need to go up to the line. Around his Adam's apple, I want to move this hair out, the skin out the way to the side so that way I'm not irritating the skin right at the apple. Did you see that? You see how his Adam's apple protrudes? You can see it right in the camera. So the hair that's sitting here, if I pull this over, let's put this little piece of hair right there because that's where he had hair. Once I pull this over, I get it away from his Adam's apple and I can remove it. Same thing here, pull it away and now I'm not causing any irritation to the skin on that area, okay? When I'm doing the mustache, I follow the lip line. So inside, outside is what I call it. Outside of the blade, inside of the lip. Because there's no hair down here, I'm not going to cut it by accident. Inside his lip, outside of my blade. Inside of his lip, outside of my blade. Now I'm going to use the whole blade. Inside, outside. Inside, outside. Now that I have his lip shape, I can go above the hair and slide down to the line. Same thing, slide down to the line. What I do not recommend, and I've seen it happen a lot, is going to line it up this way. The reason why I don't go and line it up this way is because I can't see his mustache. Now notice I'm talking to you and the clipper's on the entire time. Do you know why I'm not concerned with cutting it off by accident? Correct. Because my finger is holding my pivot. I haven't dropped it. Very good. My finger's always attached to him somewhere. Yes. So this already kind of has a line where it's at. I'm cool with that. I want to make sure the shape underneath is even. It's good. Stretch back for me a little bit. There we go. I need to get this side right here to make it a little more even. All right, great. Now that's out the way. You want this part again?
Yeah.
It's pretty thick there. You know that, right? You did that?
Yeah, I kind of have gotten in on it more and more.
Well, I'm going to just do it at the top part of it. I'm going to leave the back part of it alone
Yeah.
so it can grow in. Mm-hmm. It almost looks like two of them right now, but I already replaced my blade to do it for time constraint. So this is a brand new blade. I did it before the service. Turn your head that way for me. So this is rounded. The blade is straight. In order for me to create a round shape with a straight blade is I need to straighten this round piece out. So right here is where the deepest part of the curve is. I'm going to pull this straight out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight in to that line, making one straight line. Do you see that straight line? Everybody see that? I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to make this line straight. Do you see the straight line? I'm going to pull it from the curve here. Do you see how this is all straight now? Straight line, straight line, straight line. Now when I leave it alone, it falls into a round shape. Okay? That's how he's wearing it naturally. Do you also notice that this finger is a stabilizer for me? I'm always in connection with my guests when I'm servicing them, some way, somehow. And the reason I do that is if he has a sudden movement, I'll feel it first so I don't cut him. I'm always connecting to him before I put the blade. If I'm holding him on the top of the head, the pressure is my fingertips. I'm always connected to him. If he's got to sneeze, he's got to move, he's fidgeting, I feel him move